Welcome to the Marketing for the Culture podcast, powered by the African American Marketing Association. Each week, we'll bring you an insightful conversation from some of the best experts in our industry on how to advance our career. Join the collective of Black marketers across the world, advancing their brand as we work towards creating a collaborative community. All right, everyone, I want to welcome our special guest today, Chris Cheetham-West. He is an international speaker, author of the book Digital Marketing for Results, and founder of LR Training Solutions. Chris, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for bringing me on.
Yeah, so welcome to the Marketing for the Culture podcast, where we're going to discuss all things marketing. So with that being said, how did you get started in your career?
So I got started my career. I'd say I got a degree in marketing. My first degree that I tried to get was biology, actually. So I actually started out biology, because parents, some parents, they say, why not? Why didn't go into medical? So did biology for probably a semester. And I was like, it's not for me. So I was like, yeah, I was just sitting in the classes. I was like, nah, this is definitely not for me. I can't, I'm not connected to it at all. So eventually I started thinking about, okay, what did I do in the past? I've always been good at like promoting stuff, like going out there and kind of like direct selling to people, like different products that I created in high school. And I was like, marketing sounds good. And I read some descriptions about what a marketing manager does and what is marketing. I was like, that kind of fits what I've been doing in the past. So I decided to go ahead and get into it. So I changed my degree to marketing, took a few classes, and then ended up joining the local chapter, American Marketing Association, the student chapter. And I was like, man, I'm really into this because this is pretty much what I'm good at and what I can do. I can go out there and communicate with people and just give them information on how to grow, as well as things that can help me start my business and sell products in my business. So once I started doing that, I started really getting interested into it and then got into the internet marketing side of things from an internship. And then that's when I knew I was like, man, this is definitely going to take off eventually. So I definitely want to really get good at this right now. So in the future, I'll have a job at least. So that's how that's like the very beginning.
So can you recall anything at that particular time? And what year was this when you're like, hey, this internet marketing thing is going to take off?
I would say 2011, not 20. I'll say 2009. So yeah, I got an internship and then they were like, hey, you should get a certification or something. And I was like, there's an internet marketing certification because there wasn't really marketing certification. It was more so internet marketing certifications. So I got it. And the first book, I think it's called Internet Marketer, some Internet Marketing Edition 2. So I was like, yeah, and it's probably going to take off. And people in that day, people really didn't understand. The general public didn't really understand internet marketing at all. It was around. I mean, of course, it's been around since Google's been around, but people really didn't think it was serious. Like it was pretty much, they're just at the stage where they're just trying to figure out how to get a website, the general public, and even if you're trying to get into business. So 2009, and then from 2009, 10, 11, that's when I really started focusing on it.
That was only 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that, it seems so close and so far at the same time. All right. So what do you do? What does LR Training Solutions do?
So we do training for organizations on like a lot of different topics, and most of the topics include marketing. So sometimes it could be analytics, it could be social, it could be just general digital marketing. So most of the past, I started the business in 2014, and majority it's been all day sessions. And once I realized that so many organizations, they're struggling all around, it's not just one area. That's when I decided, it needs to be like a full package type of thing, like an all day seminar on only digital marketing. Because if you think about it, if you're out there, if you have an agency or you're a business, most of the time you might try to offer one service, but in general, they need everything. Because like if it's a small business, it's like, well, I'm struggling in all the areas. So I have a lot of different ways that service and products, but the main service is training. So that's kind of how I'm a little bit different than another marketing business, but like specifically training. And then I do a lot for like corporate as well. So that's what I do.
Yeah, that's the thing about marketing. I always say it's so broad. People say, I want to get in marketing or I need help. I'm like, well, what do you want to focus on? Like, what do you need help with? Do you need help with Facebook ads? And Facebook ads are not going to work if you don't have any content on your website. And
Yeah,
so
no,
it's
exactly.
so broad. So that's what I like about your book, Digital Marketing for Results. And it's very well written. And I really want us to just walk through it with the audience here, because you do a great job outlining, like, if you don't have a marketing plan, this is the book for you, right? Because Chris breaks it down, start here, bit by bit. So I want you to walk us through your book. Once again, Digital Marketing for Results. So with that being said, do you think traditional marketing is still important?
So I think traditional marketing is still important based on the type of business you have. So,
Okay.
for example, there's a lot of companies that like maybe like a sports team or large organizations that are trying to get a huge awareness. You got billboards, it's like you got like you're driving around and you might not be able to track billboards as effectively as online ads, but guess what? You know for sure that X amount of cars are going to drive by the highway, and then that's going to be a huge awareness if you have a upcoming game or a huge product you're trying to push. Or just like if you're a big brand, like let's say McDonald's, they don't really care much about getting clicks to their website, but they care about awareness. So if you're trying to get a huge amount of awareness, traditionally like commercials on Super Bowl, radio ads, TV ads, billboards, it's still beneficial, But and so what I've been seeing is a lot of companies they're doing the traditional, but also they're still realizing that hey, now we really have to take this digital seriously because most of our audience is on digital. So yeah, definitely. So I think it's not completely out, but you got to realize where you're at in the business, because there was a time where everybody used yellow books. Like, for you remember that, like we'll get a yellow book. I think it was in front of our house. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden everything went to digital. So yeah, you definitely gotta keep up, because some people are like it does even the newspapers, they realize how important it is because they realize that, hey, instead of us just offering advertisements in the newspapers, now we have to advertise on the internet. So
Right.
we're both in Houston Chronicle, as you know, they're pretty big as far as putting ads on their website because they understand a while ago that, hey, newspaper is kind of faded out. We need to go to digital. So you're going to see people doing both, mixture of both.
Right. Right. It seems like every industry has to have a digital marketing expertise component, right? I don't care if you're an engineering company, architecture firm, whatever. So how do you help organizations as well as individuals that are listening identify what they should be selling?
So what they should be selling, as far as if you're in their organization, think about what you're trying to sell. So I would always recommend think about what is easy for you to sell and what customers actually have the budget to sell to buy your services. Because we might have a passion, but sometimes our passion isn't really a business, right? So think about one, is what are people willing to buy from you? What do they need? And also think about who is easy for you to work with. Because
Mm.
sometimes we can make money, but the problem is we hate the clients. It's like we just don't
Yeah.
like work with these customers. So it's like think about out of all your type of businesses, like it kind of I went through this too. But if you're out there and you're starting a business, think about out of all the people you've worked with in the past, who do you like working with the most?
Mm.
And what do they like to buy from you the most as well? And maybe you should narrow down and focus on that instead of just trying to sell everything to everybody. Figure out,
Yeah.
okay, who do you like working with, and also who would buy from you, and do they have the budget? So think of it. That's what I would recommend as far as like selling.
I definitely think that's hard, whether you're a solopreneur or even a new company, right? Because it's like you're trying to take a client so you have enough money to pay your bills, to meet payroll. And then you look up and like what they call scope creep, like, this is not what I put in the proposal. I'm doing a lot more. And then it's like, is the money worth it? So that's a really good point. So also, regardless of the industry and then the dominance of marketing and social media, like it's highly competitive, right? So what are some tips when it comes to competitive research and trying to put your strategy together?
Yeah. So when it comes to strategy, I think it is highly competitive because the challenge today is the barrier to entry is so low that anybody
Mm,
can do stuff. Like you start a company, your competition starts it, and then they see you posting on social media, and then they start posting on social media. So that's one of the major challenges, that it's easy to just set up a Facebook account and start posting.
yeah.
So what you want to think about is research ways that your competitors are not on, what they're not doing. So it sounds simple, but it's really effective. Like I've been doing this for a while now, and a lot of the businesses of all sizes that I work with, a lot of times their competitors are not on one channel. So for example, one competitor is extremely good at social, but they're not doing any email marketing.
Mm,
So one channel is extremely good at advertising online, but they're not doing any social.
mhm.
It's like, or one company is really doing good on Instagram, but they're nowhere to be found on Google. So like, there's a like that's one thing that you can still do even if there's a lot of competition, and a lot of this depends on the industry too. So what's I've seen a lot of industries. Some industries are really good when it comes to SEO, but they're not really good when it comes to social. So in your industry, no matter what level you're at, think about what is your competitor not doing, and how can you take advantage of that, and also see what they're doing, and see how you can kind of change that into how you can fit your own organization. Because I mean, it's interesting because I work with like these large brands, and they struggle with like social. They struggle with all these areas, but they might be good at a different area that their competitors not working
So, with that being said, because one thing I realized, and part of the reason why I started the African American Marketing Association, I realized a lot of marketing departments only consist of one person, right? Or maybe it's two people, two or three people. You have the marketing manager and a couple of people, marketing assistant, and maybe a video or a graphic design person. And I know there's the Coca-Colas and the JP Morgan Chases, the top 50 or top 100 companies. But how many people do you think should be in a marketing department?
on. So as far as what size business you're thinking.
So that's another question, right? But I guess we'll say $1 million small business, which is pretty low, but at least they have $1 million in revenue, and I can't even say how many people, right? But the way I look, my marketing mind works is you have ads, you have analytics, you have creative,
Yeah.
so should you get one person for each
Okay.
thing?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's always a good question. It's like, so when it comes to your team, I would recommend, like, I would say a few people. Like if you're at that level, a few people. So the challenge is, what people got to realize is, when it comes to online marketing and just marketing in general, within the industry, there's so many different types of channels, and then each of those channels can be a full-time job.
That's
So
true.
that's what I realized a while back. So like, for example, that's one reason that the book is structured the way it is. So for example, there's online advertisements, there's social media, there's email marketing. So I've met people that their whole job is email marketing. I'm
Right.
pretty sure you know too. I met people that their whole job is mobile marketing. So like, that's all they do in the company, is like figure out how they can market people when it comes to text messages. So first off, you got to think of the fact that, hey, each of these roles, each of these channels can be a job, and then from there think about what is a most effective mix for the company at the moment. What's the best way to reach your customer right now? So it
Right.
might be social media. It might be social media, and you might be picking three platforms, maybe LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, where you can focus in on it. But eventually, I think a good group of three would help, because like social media. It might seem easy, but think about it. You have creating the content, you have thinking of the content,
Mhm.
right? you have actually posting the content. So all that actually takes time. So like I would get a team together that one, the person that's going to be strategizing, think of the ideas, strategizing the marketing, and two, the people that are actually going to be posting and writing the captions and engaging, and then another person handling the other areas, maybe email marketing and then the website area. So I think a good group of three would, for that size of company, the $1 million, like a $1 million business, like a kind of a small business, because it's tough. It's tough to have one person do the marketing for everything because there's so many different areas. You could spend 8 hours a day on social media. You could spend 8 hours a day on ads. So it's like you want to get a person. If you're looking for a person, you want to get a person that's decent at a lot of them, that kind of have an idea of everything. They don't have to be a hardcore expert in one area, but have an idea of it. And this person can help hire other people. Like once that person gets busy, help hire other people in the different areas of that need attention.
Yeah. So you said it earlier, SEO, search engine optimization. Everyone wants to be number one, but everyone can't rank number one on Google. So what are some tips when it comes to SEO? Like, for example, last year I was doing an SEO special, keyword research and some other stuff. And it was right before the holidays and people were like, oh my God, I need this. And it was funny because all of them were selling Christmas items, like holiday gifts. And I was like, it's the beginning of December. And I told them, I was like, I can do this for you, but you're not going to rank number one. You're not even going to come up on the search engines in the next 14 days. I was like, I'm sorry, SEO doesn't work like that. So can you explain what SEO is and just provide a few tips with that?
Yeah, sure. So SEO is pretty much all of the tactics and strategies you do to rank your content higher on the organic search results. So you type something into Google, Bing, or Yahoo, and then after those advertisements that come up, that's the organic search. So 85% of people click on that more than the ads, just because they trust it a little bit more, because they know you're not paying for it. And they know that most likely if they click on those links, then it's what they want to see. So that's why I would encourage people to try to get on the first page and eventually get on the top 5 listings on those. And so when it comes to that, first off, I'll tell people, think about what are 5 keyword phrases that you would like to rank for that people are typing into Google to find a business like yours. And a lot of times people think, oh, well, I want to rank for my name of the business. But if people know the name of your business, they're going to find you anyway. So you want to think about what's something that people are typing in and that they're going to find a service like yours. And then once you have those 5, and that's just the beginning. Some sites have hundreds, thousands of keywords. That's just like the very beginning. But once you do that, find out how many people are actually using those to search. There's a Google Trends out there that'll tell you what is a trending topic. That's part of how that's part of how I got the title for the book, because I was like, I went to Google Trends and I typed in what's trending more. Is it online marketing, internet marketing, or digital marketing? And then digital marketing was trending way more because you want to talk the language of your customer. So if the customer is typing certain things into Google, if they're using certain language, guess what? You want to make sure you're using that language in your content, in your pages. So once you have those 5 keywords, start using that language in your profiles, your web pages, and things like that, so people can get to your site and then they can actually take action. Because if they're not using those words, guess what? You're never going to be found. And two, what I recommend is if you ever got mentioned on a news article or any type of like blog and they never put a link there, you can simply email them and you say, hey, can you put a link there? Simple as that. So that right there is a huge benefit. Because like, for example, I did a keynote and they had my bio there and I said, hey, can you put my link there? And it'll be a huge help. Simple as that. They don't really care. It's not a big deal because you're already helping each other out. But people got to realize that that's a big deal. Because one of my clients, they said recently, I saw that they were on Voyage ATL. And I was like, yeah, that's a huge deal because that's a kind of a popular website, and then the fact that you put your link there, that's a huge deal. And then she was like, oh, yeah, I didn't even know that. So, but yeah, so that's a couple ways. And it's, I mean, blogging, you want to update your content as much as possible, because a lot of times people might create a website and they don't touch it for years.
Yeah.
But what you got to realize is that Google sees it as, if you haven't been updating your site in 2 years, maybe you're not in business anymore. So updating your site often, maybe that could be a blog, that could just be updating pictures, that can stand out. Because a lot of people are shocked whenever I show them their competitors that are ranking number one, and it's a old website, and they have content on there, but they're updating it. And the fact that they've been in the web for 5-10 years, that's a huge advantage, because you can't just create a website today and expect, hey, I'm gonna rank number one next week, because Google has to trust you. So that's why I always tell people, get that website started as soon as possible, because down the line, that's going to be beneficial.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about content. I think a lot of people struggle with that. And I know if we go back, I'll just say 10 years ago, people were saying, well, I don't know what to post on Twitter and Facebook. And I was like, you have to create content. And I still find it, people are struggling today when it comes to creating content. So are there any other tools? You mentioned Google Trends earlier. Are there any other tools or ideas when it comes to at least getting the content creation and even repurposing content down for these small business owners and personal brands?
Yes. So I would say first, always consider thinking about repurposing. So for example, if you post something on social, then think about using that as an email marketing email, using that as a blog on your site, using that on other platforms. So always think about repurposing. Don't just like use content one time, because it's like, what's the point of doing all this work and creating the content and it's only seen for 24 hours, right? So like, think about how can you make that content last years? Because some of the traffic that comes to my site is because of a blog that I wrote like years ago. Wow. So think about how can you not only capture the moment of posting on social, but also have that content last for longer. And when it comes to creating the content, I always like the term of education, entertainment, and promotion. So think about how can you educate the audience on what you do. So for example, if you're a local dentist, how can you educate? Maybe that's talking about three tips on how to clean your teeth or whatever. 2, promotional, that's actually you selling the product. And then 3 is entertainment. So what's popular right now? It could be a quote. It could be a lot of different things that can help you out. And even there's a day for everything. There's a National Donut Day. There's national. There's National Computer Day. So it's like there's Mother's Day. There's Father's Day. So like all those main entertainment days, you want to utilize that, and how can you fit that to your content? And then another thing is figure out how can you break up the content. Because the good thing about the age we live in, is the fact that you don't have to post an hour video to get engagement.
Yeah.
You can 1 minute. So if you've ever I was doing helping a company that does seminars for individuals, and I said, hey, instead of posting an hour video, why not break these videos up into 3-minute increments? And then so you're posting this video, you have content for days. So it's like you can literally post this all day, every day. So like break up your content, and then don't be afraid to post the same content later on, because some people haven't seen that as well. So, and I think some people are in a situation where they either don't know how to post content, or they have a lot of content, but they don't know how to organize it. So like if you have YouTube videos, why not break those YouTube videos up, put that in these other platforms? So breaking up the content.
That's good. That's really well put. I think sometimes it's like we know things, but we have to hear it again. So that's a really good point. All right. So you mentioned, we've talked about everything. We've talked about websites, content, SEO, particularly when it comes to websites and social media. Every platform has its analytics, right? Facebook Insights, they change the name every other year. Instagram, even Pinterest. And of course, your website, you can use Jetpack or Morning Insights or Google Analytics. How important is analytics When should we start using it? Why are we using it? What can we do with it? Give us the insight on analytics.
So we put all this work in online, but if we don't know exactly if it's getting results, we're wasting our time. So what you want to think about is once you're providing this strategy and putting content out there, you got to go back and see the people that come to your site, are they actually coming to your site and engaging? So first thing to think about is you're posting all this content on all these platforms. What platforms are actually bringing traffic? So if you're spending hours a day on Twitter and you go back in your analytics and you see that there's no traffic coming from Twitter, now you know you want to focus on other platforms. Maybe you want to focus more on a LinkedIn or Instagram. And also, once you know where the traffic's coming in, think about when they came from these platforms, how long do they spend on your website?
Okay.
So, for example, whenever I talk some of these corporate organizations, we see that hey, you got a lot of traffic from Instagram, but they only spend a few seconds on your site. Whereas you got this traffic from LinkedIn, but they spent 5 minutes on your site, or they came from YouTube and they spent 7 minutes on your site. So we got to figure, okay, from there we go in and think about, okay, when they came to the site, what are they doing on the site? So I think a lot of times we only focus on how many people are coming to our site. That's it. It's like how many people. That's it. It's like, hey, I got 100 visitors this month. I'm good. So it's like, but if we actually analyze what's going on, then we can make it a little bit better. So now I would say you want to start using analytics as soon as possible, as soon as you have a website, because as soon as you do that, you know exactly that. Wait, they're actually getting traffic. So like whenever I look at my analytics, I see that hey, this platform or Google's bringing this much, and they're going on this page, and they're coming from this city. So I like to tell people that, let's say, for instance, you're advertising to people in Texas, but you realize that a lot of people are coming to your site from Florida. So now you know, hey, maybe I should put more money into Florida. Another example is one of my clients, they do printing in San Antonio, and it's a nationwide, they do it nationwide. And most of the people come to the site, they go to the contact us page. But we realized that whenever people come to the contact us page and they're from Dallas, they end up leaving out instead of going through and putting the content, implementing the contact form. And we were like, man, maybe that means that we need to focus on that contact us page and make it more appealing and let people know that we serve all these cities and all these states. So yeah, so as soon as possible.
No, you brought a lot of good points. So first of all, Twitter or LinkedIn, right? So if someone comes, you're spending all day on Twitter and then they only spend 5 seconds on your website, and the people from LinkedIn are spending more time on your website, that's saying you need to double down on LinkedIn. Exactly. Right? You need to spend more time on LinkedIn promoting, marketing, making people aware of what you do on LinkedIn, because that's where your engagement is.
Exactly.
Right? Or maybe in this case with the printing company, San Antonio versus Dallas, like we serve all of Texas, or we serve nationwide, or maybe get a Dallas Google number.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah.
To let people know, like, hey, we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are some of your favorite marketing resources that has helped you build your brand throughout the years?
So marketing resources, I would say, let's see, there's so many. I know the Google Analytics is good. Google Trends is good. So if you're new to it, there's a lot of things that can help you research. There's a keyword planner, Google AdWords keyword planner. Mm-hmm. That's a good one as well. So it'll tell you what people are typing in, how many searches they get a month. There's a similarweb.com, so it tells you what your competitors are doing. So it's interesting because like when I first started, one of the most fascinating things that I realized about online marketing versus general marketing is the fact that we can know like 98% of what our competitor is doing. Like everything is out there. Like before, in any other field, you'll have to figure out, like you have to know somebody at the company, figure out what they're doing. But now you literally can just go to their website and then view page source and see what kind of words they're using, see what kind of links they're using. So a lot of times the resource is your competitor. So literally go to their website and see what type of links they're using, what type of words they're using in the page, like how many blogs are they writing. You'll be surprised. Some of these competitors are writing a lot of blogs, but you just got to go to their site and see all the blogs that they're writing. So go into competitors. There's a lot of keyword tools that tell you how much people are spending on your advertising, on their advertising too. So yeah, there's so many, but yeah, those are like the main ones: trends, analytics. Definitely.
Awesome. And I think you mentioned a lot of Google products, and I always think Google products are the best if you have zero to little budget. They have a lot of free products before you get into the paid versions. So I would encourage anyone to start with the Google products. Well, Chris, it has been a pleasure. I want to encourage everyone once again to get the book Digital Marketing for Results. How can people find you?
It's at Chris N. West. So that's the name on Instagram and then LinkedIn, Chris N. Cheetham-West. And website is chrisnwest.com. So definitely email me for any questions you have.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Marketing for the Culture podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe, whether it's on Apple, Google, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. And of course, our videos are on YouTube. If you have a moment, feel free to give us a rate, review, or just comment. We appreciate our sponsors for their continuous support. Also, if you're interested in learning more about our sponsors or becoming a member of the African American Marketing Association, visit aa-ma.org.